Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive.
Always ready to explore some new ideas.
Awesome. So today we're diving into Profound Success. It's by Shawn Wondunna Foley, published on a website called innerway.com.au.
Okay, inner way sounds intriguing already.
Right. So it's a pretty short piece, but man, it packs a punch. It's like super motivational, kind of spiritual. We're going to be talking about transforming yourself, reaching your full potential, all that good stuff.
Lots to unpack there.
Totally.
Hmm.
So Wondunna Foley starts off, right off the bat, by saying that we're like entering this era of profound success.
Okay, bold statement.
Right. And they're not just talking about individuals here. They're saying it's for the whole world, like globally.
Interesting. So what's driving this shift towards global success, according to the author?
They talk about energies aligning,
Yeah.
like in the universe. And this leads to, get this, manifesting our highest good. When you think about that,
Well, I think there's something really powerful about the idea of interconnectedness, right? Like this idea that we're all part of something bigger than ourselves. We see this concept across different cultures, philosophies, spiritual traditions. Even if we can't like scientifically measure these universal energies, there's definitely something to be said for the power of collective consciousness.
yeah, I can see that. Like when enough people believe in something or work towards a common goal, things can really shift.
Exactly.
Mm.
I mean, think about major historical turning points like the Renaissance or the fall of the Berlin Wall. These weren't just isolated events. They were fueled by a collective desire for change, a shared energy that propelled those movements forward.
So like a ripple effect, like individual actions can actually contribute to these larger shifts.
Potentially, yeah. I think that's a really empowering idea. But moving on, Wandana Foley also talks a lot about transforming limiting beliefs, like turning fears into blessings and seeing challenges as, what do they call them, stepping stones.
Yeah, stepping stones, that's a big one in like the whole personal development world.
Right. So what's the psychology behind that? Is it really as simple as just changing your perspective?
Well, I think it's more nuanced than that. It's
Yeah.
not like you can just magically think your way out of any problem. But there's definitely something to be said for the power of cognitive reframing.
Cognitive reframing. Can you explain that a bit more?
Sure, like imagine you have a big presentation coming up
Right.
and you're super nervous. You might be thinking, oh, I'm going to mess this up. But what if instead you told yourself, I've prepared for this. I know my stuff. I'm ready to share my knowledge.
So you're basically changing the narrative in your head.
Exactly. It's not about ignoring the challenge, but about approaching it with a more empowered mindset. And, research in cognitive behavioral therapy actually supports this idea. By consciously challenging negative thought patterns, you can actually change your emotional response to situations.
Makes sense. It's like choosing to see the glass half full even when things are tough.
Right. And that can make a huge difference in how you perform, how you handle stress, all of that. Okay, so another big thing when Donna Foley talks about is trusting in, like, divine timing.
Divine timing, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, it's this idea that everything happens for a reason and unfolds exactly as it should. I can see how that could be comforting for some people, but for others, it might feel a little, I don't know, passive.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Like, are we just supposed to sit back and let fate take its course?
Right. So how do you balance that acceptance with actually taking action towards your goals?
I think it's about recognizing that we don't have control over everything, right? There are forces larger than ourselves at play, but that doesn't mean we just give up and do nothing. It's more about focusing on what we can control. Our effort, our attitude, the choices we make. We plant the seeds, but we can't force them to grow on our schedule.
So it's about trusting the process, but still actively participating in it.
Exactly. It's a delicate dance between surrender and action.
I like that. Okay, moving on. One Donna Foley also talks about this idea of receiving abundance and freedom. And they suggest that these things will, like, flow freely into our lives if we're open to them.
Okay, so how do we become more open to receiving abundance and freedom?
Well, they link it to this idea of gratitude, like appreciating what we already have. What are your thoughts on that connection? Is there, like, any scientific basis for the idea that being grateful can lead to more success or happiness?
Absolutely. There's actually a growing field of research in positive psychology that looks at the benefits of gratitude. And studies have shown that people who regularly practice gratitude tend to experience higher levels of happiness, well-being, and even physical health.
Wow, so it's not just some feel-good concept.
Right. It's not that gratitude magically makes you rich or anything, but it can shift your focus from what you lack to what you have. And that can make you more open to opportunities and more resilient in the face of challenges.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like when you're focused on the good stuff, you're more likely to attract more good stuff.
Exactly. It's about creating a positive feedback loop.
I like it. Okay, last but not least, Wondunna Foley talks about everyone being on this, like, path to greatness. And they believe that we all have this unique energy that we can use to make a positive impact on the world.
Powerful idea.
Right. So, thinking about that, are there any historical examples that come to mind where you see this ripple effect of individual action leading to larger scale change?
Oh, tons. I mean, the civil rights movement is a classic example. Rosa Parks refusing to give up her seat on the bus. That single act of defiance sparked a movement that ultimately changed the course of history.
Wow, yeah. It's amazing to think about how one person's actions can have such a huge impact.
Right. And think about the environmental movement. It started with a handful of individuals raising awareness about pollution and climate change. Now it's a global movement, driving policy changes and shaping how we think about our planet.
So even seemingly small actions can create massive change.
Absolutely. It's about realizing that we all have the power to make a difference.
So to wrap things up, profound success is kind of a call to action, right? It's about believing in ourselves, transforming our limitations, trusting the journey, embracing gratitude, and realizing that we all have the potential to create positive change.
Well said. And it reminds us that success isn't just about material wealth or achievements. It's about living a life that's aligned with our values and using our unique gifts to make the world a better place.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Wondunna Foley ends with this line: "One is a change agent for good in one's life and the world." So as you go about your day, think about that. What unique energy do you bring to the world, and how can you use it to make a positive impact? That's something to ponder as we wrap up our deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.